So this radar equation is basically based on the information that we are having. With that, we are going to depict some more factors that will be influencing the radar performance. So when we talk about radar equation, we are talking about range basically. So it comes as radar range equation. So in exam, it can come either as radar equation or as range equation or maximum range equation. So our main intention is that we want to have a maximum range. Now, when this formula has been decided, we will get an idea that which factor if we reduce, the range will be more, or which factor if we increased, we will get a range is more. So we want to go with less power and maximum range. That is the intention. So with this equation, we will be able to design that. Now, first thing we will start with for this radar range equation is we want to find the maximum range. Now, what are the main things we know about the right now in the present situation? A pulse has been transmitted, pulse has been received. After that, only the next pulse is transmitted. That is the important criteria which we call it as PRF. That is pulse repetitive frequency. Because if after receiving, if we don't send the pulse, what will happen? The information that we are having will be mismatched, because after we have received the echo signal, then based on that information we are sending the next pulse. Like if we say the target is moving, so say first time it was in position A, second time it's in position B, third time it's C. So when we get the received pulse that the target has moved from A to B, B becomes our reference point. Then we send the target. Then we get the information that target has moved from B to C. Now that becomes the reference. That's the reason only after we have received the echo of the first pulse, we send the means the next pulse has been transmitted. This you need to keep it in your mind. Now, now we will go step by step by step. First thing, let's assume that we are having an isotropic antenna. What is isotropic antenna? It will be sending our signals in all directions. It is like 360 degree, it is sending the signals. Now, if PT is the transmitted power or a power of a transmitter which has been sent from this isotropic antenna, then we will call it as PT. Now, since it is isotropic and it is sending in all 360 degrees, so we will say that the surface area made by this sphere, which sphere? This is the sphere, or means the range, or we should say the area, surface area, till what point this radiation is able to reach, or our waves are able to reach. And since it's isotropic, it is all over. It's like a sphere around that sending point or transmitting point. So we call it as a, so we are taking the term 4 pi r square, where r is the radius from the antenna to maximum range that it is having. So first thing is we consider that isotropic antenna, it is sending in all 360 degree. So we are calling it as a sphere. And now we are taking the surface area of a sphere, that is 4 pi r square. PT is the power transmitted by the antenna. So the equation now we are having is PT by 4 pi r square. Next, after we have got this, now we know that if you want to um, get maximum information or maximum echo from a target, it's necessary that signal that is sent towards it should be a strong signal. So now we are taking it as a directional antenna, because we know that target itself is going to, once the reflection happens, the signals that are being received by the antenna is from all directions, because the target is not a small little point, or target is not that it will be sending the signals back in one direction. No, it will just disperse the signal in all directions. Some part will fell back onto the antenna. So now we are considering that we are taking a directional antenna, and now whatever we have received from the uh, iso, uh, iso, uh, isotropic antenna, that is PT by 4 pi r square, we are multiplying it with gain. Now, why with gain we are taking? Because we are focusing onto one direction. So we are converting this equation of isotropic antenna, that was Pt by 4 pi r square, with G. So with that product, we get the power density for directional antenna. Now, one thing we need to remember is how the data is being received by the antenna. It all depends on at what angle it is going to fall on area of curvature. It focuses onto the feed antenna. Now, what is the feed antenna? This particular point is the called as feed. If you see previously, we have the here. If you go here, this particular point is called as feed. So, what is the role of this feed? Feed basically focuses all the signal that is has fallen onto the curvature of the radius or curvature of that antenna, and then focuses on towards the feed, and feed just takes everything like this. So from any angle these waves fall onto the curvature will get focused onto the feed of the antenna, that is the focus. So when you were studying about the mirrors, at that time you would have studied, not when you were studying about the lens, you would have seen that rays can fall from all direction but get focused at a particular point. We call it as a focus, right? Same principle is being used here. Now, what does that mean? That after reflection, the signals that are being received by the antenna, that we are calling it as an echo signal, we are saying that the cross section of that entire echo signal that is being received is sigma. Okay. Now with that, what happens? The power density of the echo signal at the radar becomes sigma by 4 pi r square. Why 4 by 4 pi r square? Because it is falling on in a form of a sphere. As we said, like isotropic, sense in all direction. Same way, when echo signals, when the signals is reflecting from the target, it is spreading in all directions, right? It doesn't know where is the antenna. It just spreads in all direction. So for that, we are keeping sigma by 4 pi r square. Now here, Pt by 4 pi r square, remember it was for isotropic antenna, power density. Then to make it directional, we multiplied it with G. So Pt by G, Pt into G by 4 pi r square is the power density of the directional antenna. Now we are saying that this sigma, we are receiving the signal, but the signal that we are receiving is in isometric in nature. It's coming from all direction. So we are calling it as sigma by 4 pi r square. Now with this, what happens? This becomes Pt into G into sigma divided by 4 pi r square whole square, right? Now, what we said is that when this echo signal was falling onto that antenna, we know that the shape of the antenna matters a lot. As we said that this curvature shape of the antenna will help signals to get focused onto the feed. So that is what happens. So what happens? This receiving antenna intercepts the power of echo signal that has been received. And now we are saying that the area that is being covered by the area of the antenna that is intercepting that echo signal, we are calling it as AE. Now with that, what happens? This power density intercepted across this particular area will be multiplied by the equation that we have got. So power density that till now we have received is multiplied by that effective area. So that makes it Pt. That is, now remember how we have moved on. We have gone step by step. First, we have taken for isotropic antenna, power density for isotropic antenna. That was Pt by 4 pi r square. Then to make it directional antenna, we multiplied it with G. Then that was all towards the transmitter side. Now, if we want to know, because since same antenna is being used for transmitting and for receiving, So till that point, PT into G by 4 pi R square was when we are talking about transmitting antenna. Now we are talking about receiving antenna. So for that, what we are doing? We are talking about the area that, or how much the signal is, echo signal is being received. So it is in a form of a sphere. Why? Because the target, when it reflects in all directions. So it is like a sphere. Spherically, it's, I mean, you can say it's sending in all directions. So it's itself is making a sphere around it. So we are intercepting only the part of it. So that's the reason we are calling sigma by 4 pi r square. Now we are talking about the antenna which is receiving that echo signals. So we are saying that effective area where that echo signals are falling onto the curvature of the antenna, we are calling it as AE. Now with that, what has happened? Our equation has become, for now we are talking about receiving antenna. So power density has, for receiving antenna, has become PT into G into sigma into AE divided by 4 pi r square whole square. Now here, this is what is generalizing we are seeing. Now what we said in the beginning, what we said, we want to trace the maximum range. And for depicting this maximum range, what is important for us, that power that we send should be minimum. Then only, otherwise lot of wastage of energy and wastage of power will happen. So that is our main thing. Now, when you talk about maximum range, we are talking about the distance beyond which the target cannot be detected, right? Due to insufficient received power. And so now what is important is what we have when we are saying maximum range. Now till maximum range, or that particular range, the result that we get is appropriate. But beyond that, our signals have become weaker. The power, whatever it has been sent to, sent that signal is not sufficient, that the echo that we receive will be it's to the mark. So now in this case, what happens? All the signals that are being absorbed or reflected by mountains or by the trees or by the rivers, they all fall in that category, because when they are reflected and falling back, they change their phase shift, they change their angle. So when they fall, naturally, they will not come into this particular range, or even if it comes, they will be very weak signals. Okay, so now to the minimum power which the receiver can detect, we are calling it as minimum detectable signal. Now here, if you see, it is placed in the denominator. Now when it is placed in denominator, naturally what happens? And it is to the power of 1 by 4. How we got it 1 by 4? If you see here, 4 pi r square. Now when we have said it as 4 pi, when we are squaring it, 4 pi r square whole square, it becomes at 4 square pi square r to the power of 4. Now we are just rearranging in such a way that r to the power of 4 goes where pr was there, and pr has come down to the denominator. So with that, this equation has come up where this r to the power of 4. Now you can compare here. This 4 pi whole square was there. It has come down as 4 pi r square. This r to the power of 4 is been interchanging its position. So PR has come down, and the same PR, we are talking that if you are saying maximum range, then the power that is sent should be minimum. Same PR, we are calling it as S min, because now this is minimum power that has been sent, right? Rest all terms are same. So R4 has gone up, PR has come down. Now when this is R to the power of 4, and you want to extract only for R max, naturally we will go multiply it with the to the power of 1 by 4. So R to the power of 4 by 1 by 4 makes it 1. Whereas here the entire terms becomes 1 by 4. So this makes it the equation for R max PT GAE sigma by 4 pi square S min. Remember what is S min? It is basically PR. But here if you see, PR will come for a particular range. Which range? Some range. But when you talk about maximum range, then it is necessary that PR becomes minimum power. That is what has happened. When we talk about from any range to maximum range we go, then this PR becomes S minimum. That is, with minimum power, we are able to achieve maximum range if the conditions they should fit in. What are the conditions? The transmitted power, gain, effective area. Then here, sigma is basically what? Sigma is a cross-sectional area of the echo signal, right? By minimum power. So we get maximum power when all these factors have been placed in a right combination to the power of 4. And so this is one range. So I can say this is one equation that can be used when you are solving the problems. Now we can represent this Rmax again when you're talking with terms of wavelength. Now see, in this equation, nowhere we are talking about what frequency should be used when what frequency is required to attain the maximum range. Here we are talking only with respect of power. Now here if the question comes, how much power is required to get the maximum range, you can use this particular formula. If the question says, what frequency should I receive or which wavelength should I use to get the maximum range, then you have to bring a small little more formula in that. That is, we are going ahead with antenna gain and effective area. So it becomes G by 4 pi is equal to AE by lambda square. Remember, lambda square is about the wavelength. So with that, our equation, which was with terms of power, gets converted with the wavelength. Now here, you can get the maximum range with a wavelength, with less wavelength and less power. So in that case, you can use this equation. Both the equations are correct. One is only with the terms of when we are focusing on to the maximum power, and here we are interested in gain. So the first formula talks about the gain, whereas second formula talks about the effective area of antenna. How much the these echo signals are falling onto the antenna based on that. So formula, both are different parameters you can find out. Only with the first formula, you are talking about gain. Then in second formula, you are talking about effective area. And this is how you can use this equation. Now here, there are some small drawbacks which pop up with this radar equation. That is, if the weather conditions are not very good, lot of fluctuations are happening, then the range that we get is not exactly correct. Then one thing is that, like we said, when the signal is been sent, you should receive the signal and then only next pulse should be sent. If that PRF doesn't matches or the signal is coming before sending the signal, echo signal is coming after sending the second pulse, that also can lead to the noise, and that will give us a wrong information about the radar. This mostly happens only with the weather conditions. So now that was one part. Now what all things we have found out? If you ignore these drawbacks, then we have received lot of information about the target. So what are the basic factors that has helped us? One is transmitted power PT. Then pulse width you can find out here with the help of PRF, and range ambiguities. What is range ambiguities? We are interested to find out the range which is giving us the correct information. That's what we said. We are sending a pulse, we are receiving the echo, then is the next pulse has been sent. With that, we will get the correct information about the moving target. But if it doesn't happen like that, then the result that we get has an ambiguity. It's a faulty result that we are getting that can be traced out again, and about the frequency. Now, we know what is the, how transmitted power is related to the pulse width. So for that, we know that we are using the transmitted power, which are in pulses, right? It is in pulses. So we have, um, we can send, we can just see the pulse has been sent and there is an empty space, then it is been again sent. So that empty space is what we are expecting that received signal should come. So they are all in terms of pulses, right? Now that entire thing will be called as space and mark. When we are receiving the data, we call it as mark. When there is a, sorry, when we are transmitting the data, we call it as mark. When we are waiting for the pulse to come back, that part we are calling it as space. So and together mark and space are called as duty cycle. So the formula that we'll be using here is duty cycle is pulse width by pulse repetitive frequency. With that, we can find out pulse width. Now here, pulse width will give us the idea that what kind of frequency we are using, what kind of, how far is the target, and what should be the PRF and what bandwidth is been required. Now here PRF, you got a very clear idea. We are sending pulse has been transmitted, then it is received, again transmitted, again received, right? So that is pulse repetitive frequency, that after what time period or after what width, what time slot, we are sending the next pulse. So either we are talking only about transmitting or we are talking only about receiving. So that gives us the pulse repetitive frequency and gives us what should be the frequency at which the pulse should be sent. Then of course the frequency, we need to have a very high frequency. Then only we get a good, like they have said, very high frequency will suffer high losses and not suitable for the long range system. But we can use it for the short range. So depending upon for which application we are going to use, we will be picking up the frequency, right? Now here, when we are talking about PRF, we will be solving some questions based on that how PRF will give us an idea about what frequency needs to be used, right? So then we will go ahead that what kind of pulse signals are being used. We can use this radar for pulses, that is, as we talked about PRF. We can also use it for continuous wave radar. Now again, depending upon the application, we will be either picking up pulse radar or continuous wave radar. Then pulse radar is basically used to find out weather conditions, to find out mines, and also it can be used for in submarines. It can be used for ATC, that is aircraft traffic control, for ship traffic control. So pulses are preferably used here. So one is for to see the fixed target. So we use mostly basic pulse radar to find out the fixed target. Like if I talk about mines, the movement of the rotation of the Earth and the way the your satellite is moving. If it's a geo satellite, we know it will be always on the head, or it will always be in the same position with the relative speed of the Earth. So we, in that situation, we use basic pulse radar. But if we are talking about moving target like we are talking about aircraft is moving, or we are talking about ship, in that conditions, we will be using the moving target indicator radar. So the block diagram will be a little different. So pulses can be used for these two applications. So now if you talk about basic pulse radar, that we said we are using it for fixed positions, especially for terrains, and like we talked about mountains, for the remote sensing, then we can go with pulse radar. And when we are talking about clouds, ships, aircrafts, we are talking about MTI, that is moving target indicator. So first we will talk about basic pulse radar. So here, what we are having a block diagram. Now here you will be only studying about the block diagram. This block diagram, each block is indicating how the data after receiving will be processed. Now we know when we talk about antenna, the first thing, antenna can be used for both sending and receiving signal with the help of duplexer, because duplexer act as a switch. When you want to send signal through antenna, transmitter plays a role. When you are receiving signal from the antenna, receiver plays a role, and vice versa will be switched off. So when duplexer is turning transmitter on, receiver will be off. When it is acting as a receiver, transmitter will be off. So here, first we'll talk about transmitter. The purpose of transmitter is to send a very high frequency train of pulses. Now these pulses are designed in such a way that trans signal is been sent, sent and received. So we are talking about true transmitting where this PRF is planned in such a way that these pulses are already coming up with the echo signals. Then we have pulse modulator. It will basically produce very high frequency so that these pulses can travel a longer distance. Then we know about duplexer. This duplexer is basically a microwave switch, which is acting, as we said, it's a switch. It will be, when the data has to be sent, when the transmitter is sending signal to duplexer to send data through antenna, then it acts as it turns on for transmitter and turns off for the receiver. And same way, when the signal is been received, duplexer turns off the transmitter, turns on the receiver, so that receiver starts working. The advantage of this is we get lower noise, and the protection of the circuit is also there, because when we are sending signal, the signal is very high frequency and very high power. So transmitted power is always higher as compared to the received power. So for the protection of the receiver, first thing we need to switch off the receiver so that only signal is sent towards the antenna and then to the space and not to the receiver. So that's the reason this duplexer is important for both the circuits to be protected from the higher frequencies. So by turning on the transmitter and by turning off the receiver, we are protecting the circuit from very high power transmitted power. Then we are having low noise RF amplifier. Now that was all about transmitter that we have seen till now. That transmitter is required to transmit the signal. Pulse modulator is generating very high frequency, and duplexer is turning on transmitter on, sending to the antenna, and the waves are being transmitted into the space. Now, when it has been received, when the signals are been received, this low noise RF amplifier, it amplifies the weak RF signal and then connect it to the mixer. Mixer, it will produce both sum and difference of frequencies, and the difference of the frequencies that is been occurring, we call it as a IF amplifier or intermediate frequency. Then this local oscillator itself is having a standard frequencies, which is a stable frequency, which makes mixer, it gives oscillations to the mixer so that it maintains this difference and intermediate frequency is constantly generated. Then IF amplifier amplifies this intermediate frequency that has been generated by the mixer with sum and difference. And this IF amplifier allows only this intermediate frequencies to further proceed to the other blocks of the block diagram. And that the advantage of this is this improves signal to noise ratio at the output. Then we have a detector. This